Daniel 4, continuing. Not only does God rule over every part of the world, and this world is only our temporary home, but Daniel 4, starting in verse 17, tells us God selects the rulers of this world. Look at verse 17. This decision is by decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the holy ones, in order that the living may know, look at this, verse 17, that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, gives it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. You know, that might happen to us. Is it a disaster? No. It's a great opportunity for us to maybe suffer a little. I mean, what's going to happen if a new administration comes that's adverse to Christianity and adverse to conservatism? They could shut down the airwaves with this equal exposure clause that they're trying to get through. Great. That means that we won't trust everybody to hear the gospel on the radio. We'll have to tell them ourselves. See, it's just an advance of evangelism. Look at verse 25. They shall drive you from among men. Your dwelling shall be the beasts of the field. This is Nebuchadnezzar. Remember, he had the malady called boanthropy, where he acted like a cow. I think a lot of people have that nowadays. And they shall make you eat grass like oxen, and they shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you. Look at this, verse 25. Till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. This should be a time that we trust in the sovereignty of God. Exercise our right. Do our responsibility. Expose evil. But don't get disheartened. And don't get just exuberant if whoever you want to win wins. It still doesn't solve the problem. It's not going to change society. It's just going to delay the decline. What we have to do is be busy redeeming individuals with the gospel. We are ministers of reconciliation. Keep going to verse 34. And at the end of time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. I blessed the Most High and praised him and honored him who lives forever. I believe you and I who know and love and trust Jesus Christ will meet this guy in heaven. I believe that he was marvelously saved by God's grace. Because look what he says in verse 34. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion. His kingdom is from generation to generation. Verse 35. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. Look at this. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, what have you done? God, it doesn't matter how much illegal corruption is going on in any election. God's will is done. He overrules and he accomplishes his purpose. Keep going to chapter 5. I mean, if you weren't convinced already, look at verse 18. O king, the Most High gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom, Daniel 5:18, and majesty and glory and honor. Verse 19, and because of the majesty he gave him. Verse 21, look at the last phrase of verse 21. Till he knew that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and appoints over it whomever he chooses. See, that's God's purpose. What he wants is to let the world know he's reigning, and he lets them know through us. And we should be the ones, representatives of our God, who is in control, who raises up and puts down whomever he will. We are to be the best citizens, but we are to have convictions that harmonize with God's. And we shouldn't be under our little bushels. We should be letting our light shine and exposing evil. God gives temporary success to rulers that is a part of his plan. Psalm 75, verses 6 and 7 say, exaltation comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the north or the south. God is the judge. He puts down one, exalts another. So remember, whoever wins the election, God will give temporary success to accomplish his purpose. And we should be in step with him. God picks the rulers. God allows the rulers to do what is perceived by us as evil, as in John 19:11, crucifying Jesus was evil, but it accomplished a larger purpose and purpose of God, the redemption of sinners like you and me. And that's why Jesus said, in fact, one of Jesus' most political statements was in John 19:11, and Jesus answered to Pilate, he said, you could have no power at all against me unless it had been given to you from above. You see, Jesus said, God raises up and puts down the politicians. Don't put your hope in them. Put your hope in the living God who endures forever and ever. Well, God tells us the outcome in advance. We already know what's going to happen to this world. He's written it down.